the very essence of suffering as the fear of suffering itself.
What is up, YouTube? Today I'm out in the wilderness of my home state, soaking up the sun, soaking up the moisture, and contemplating on today's topic: suffering. Why do we suffer? And how to deal with suffering. Everyone is suffering. Physical, emotional, even the happiest people will experience suffering. So why is everyone suffering? And to understand this, we must look at the idea of the contrast. Without contrast or relationship to other things, we simply would not have an understanding of anything. We can look at this from many examples. Without heat, we would not know cold. Without short, we would not know tall. Without darkness, we would be blinded with only light. Without suffering, we would not know ourselves. Without contrast, we would not be able to understand anything. And this is why everyone is suffering. But suffering gets a false reputation. For suffering is neither good or bad. Suffering just is. And we can see this universal truth in society. If suffering was either good or bad, why would people go watch scary movies, do activities that would push our bodies to the limit? I mean, look at things like acupuncture or fasting, which have clear benefits from suffering. The lure of suffering will always be there. It's human nature. It is the why and how they suffer that is important. And to control suffering is a superhuman power everyone has access to.
Tell me one thing that human beings are not suffering. If they're poor, they suffer their poverty. You make them rich, they suffer the taxes. If they're not educated, they suffer that. Put them to school, lot of suffering. Not married, they suffer that. Get them married. I didn't say anything. I didn't say a thing, okay? No, children, some people suffer that. Children, daily suffering. So you seem to be suffering every aspect of life. So if you offer death, will you go joyfully? No, you will suffer that. Now people weave philosophies, life is suffering. No, life is not suffering, nor is it a joy. It's simply there, it's a phenomenon. If you're crushed by it, it feels terrible. If you ride it, it feels fantastic.
Well, you may be asking, how do I get these superpowers? You must first understand the paradox of free will. Talking about the illusion of control and how we both have the decision-making capabilities, but also everything is predetermined. But you do not have to master this concept to start tapping into the superpower of controlling your own suffering. The continuous questioning of this paradox and other paradoxes will allow you to have better control over suffering. Now, we know we have control or free will, or at least the illusion of control over suffering. And that's the trick. It is to know we have control. It is so simple we always overlook it. To choose where you suffer, you must be conscious or aware of your suffering, its purpose, its why, its meaning. And to achieve full mastery of the power to choose your own suffering is to fully be aware or conscious of the parts of you are unaware or that are in your subconscious.
And so, in the situation where there is the experience of agony, whether it be physical or whether it be moral, the way out is, in a way, suffering that agony as if this were the only thing in the whole world to be done. By going right down to the bottom of the furnace, no further pains will harass you.
If you had the control over your suffering, wouldn't you choose to not suffer at all? While this does seem like the ideal solution to not suffering, we must bring back the idea of the contrast. Without the suffering, you would not grow, learn, or evolve. Look at it through nature. We can see that trees and other plants fall and decay to help the forest grow, create habitat, create life. Why would trees lose their leaves and suffer with the lack of nutrients during the fall and winter? Well, they do this so that they can grow further in the spring. Look back at events in your life that were hard. Without those challenging events, you would not have the understanding you have today. Just like pain is a learning process, hunger leading you to food and eating, we will always need suffering to learn and grow. And this is why even with the mastery of controlling suffering, we would not choose to stop suffering.
There was a monk who got news that his mother had died and was weeping. And another Buddhist monk said to him, "You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You, a monk, still showing worldly attachments by weeping." He said, "Don't be silly. I'm weeping because I want to weep."
I won't grow weary. I will not faint. You renew.
Now, with this newfound understanding of suffering, I want you to stop resisting suffering and to question and consciously think about these suffering to power yourself up and become the best version of yourself you can be. Until next time, peace.